Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy CL Anthony and my main man, Michael France. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, CL? Happy Easter. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday today.
Look, this is 2 weeks in a row. Is this becoming a thing here? What's
It could be. It could be.
what is
A new
going on?
Batman and Robin.
Well, look, me and Bryce talked this week because we generally talk every day, and I said, I think I'm gonna make Michael like the permanent guest host. When he can't come on or someone else can't come on, just Mike's gonna be the go-to guy. You know.
hmm
So he was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So we started the playoffs were yesterday, but this week we had the play-in tournament. How did you feel about the matchups that we had as far as more so in the Western Conference, the Clippers and the Pelicans, and then also the Timberwolves? Excuse me, I'm running a blank right here. Who did they beat their last game? Play a game? Forgive me, Lord. But
I have the. Oh my gosh, I'm having the same blank.
that last Timberwolves play-in game. Oh goodness
Well, they
gracious,
they they won the first one, and then the second one came in with. Oh my gosh, I'm having a blank with the eighth seed.
we're old.
Yeah, I'm getting. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
We're getting
What
old,
was it?
Michael. Oh God.
Was it Thursday? Was
Let
it
me.
Wednesday? Oh my gosh, was it Wednesday? The Hornets, Hawks, Spurs, and Pelicans. Yeah, so it's the Spurs. The Pelicans. The
Yes.
Pelicans were the other team.
Yes. Okay.
Oh my gosh. See, but see, that's how young the team is. That you're like, oh my gosh, they just played the other day, and who is it?
It's so
It's a team to easily forget.
yeah. It's so much going on right now.
hmm
So I was one of the guys that was enjoying the killing of the Timberwolves this week, and I know some of the national media was split. Some guys said the excessive celebration was okay. Some guys said it was cringe. I'm more on the
hmm
cringe team. Just really quick, how did you feel about those guys celebrating their play-in tournament win?
So the writing was on the wall for all of the memes, conversation, jokes, etc. I mean, Patrick Beverly was crying running off the floor. But you know what? I have to say this. I say let them have their moment because Minnesota has been through a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they don't get a lot of success, and to be able to not only go through the play-in tournament, win that first game, become the seventh seed, like I don't know. That's kind of it's kind of inspiring to see those guys come together like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the emotion, although funny, I was laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are going crazy. But you know what? I have to kind of put myself in their shoes and say, Minnesota hasn't been here in a while, so why not let them just have their moment? You know what I
Well, in the moment, and
mean?
they beat the Clippers, right? So it just all came back to me. They beat the Clippers,
Yeah.
which which was Patrick Beverly's old team. So I get the emotion from Patrick Beverly, and I get what Jalen Rose said yesterday that it was the 2 year anniversary of Cat Mom passing away from COVID-19. So I was like,
hmm
okay, some of the emotion made sense, but in the moment, it was the most hilarious thing that I've
I
seen.
agree. I agree. Chuck, Ernie, and Shaq thought it was funny too, and Kenny, because they're we are the champions.
Right. I was sitting, I almost fell out my bed. I was laughing so hard. I was like, what's going on? But
What is this?
yes, I was like, what's going on? But kudos to the Minnesota Timberwolves because God knows I was trying to share every meme I could find about it. Now, which leads us into yesterday. What happened? Um, I'm not gonna go into the prediction right now, but I'm a little concerned about what I saw from Memphis yesterday.
Me
How did you?
too.
I mean, I left for a few minutes, but I'm pretty sure Minnesota led that game from start to finish.
Mhm.
How do you feel about what the Timberwolves were able to pull off on the road yesterday?
Hey, they for one pulling it off on the road was huge, right? They're riding this. this seventh seed momentum. Like, I mean, you think that they don't see social media? Like these
Right.
guys see, they see everything. So it's like, they're probably on that side. Like, look, make fun of us as much as you wish. Look what we're about to do because we're riding this momentum right now. And to score 130 points in
Yes.
Memphis, wow. And I'm sorry, like from what I had seen, numbers wise, Anthony Edwards had himself a game. I have to say I'm really impressed with the way this kid is he's developing. I was kind of a non-believer at first, but I'm watching this kid like you're blossoming into something special right now.
Yeah. He's had a fantastic season. LaMelo
Hmm.
Ball is my little cousin. Everyone knows that. LeVar is my uncle. But Anthony Edwards maybe should have got Rookie of the Year last year too. I'm just throwing that out. I'm just gonna throw that
I
out there.
wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't
And,
disagree.
and it could be kind of why he's playing off the hinges like he is right now. And Cat also had a very, very good playoff game for him. So you had two young studs having great playoff games, and Memphis was just like going through the motions or too cool for school. Like they were just really out there, just
Yep.
and I'm like, what is going on here? Um, I'm a little scared because as good as Memphis has played this season, even though people did pick them maybe to go far, there were still some doubters out there. And the
Hmm.
doubters won. The doubters won yesterday, and I text Bryce. I said the Timberwolves are beating up on the oh god on the this is a bad Sunday for me. So
The
the
Grizzlies.
Timberwolves, yeah, on the Grizzlies. So the Timberwolves are beating up on the Grizzlies, and Bryce was like, "Well, they're not beating them up. It's only a 6 point game." I said, "No, they're being more physical. They've led from start to finish so far. I believe that was in the fourth quarter when I text Bryce, and then with like 4 minutes left, I texted him again. I said, "The Timberwolves are going to win this game because Memphis showed
Mhm.
absolutely nothing that they could do to stop those guys." And D'Angelo Russell had a bad game, and I'm like, I'm a little afraid. I'm a little afraid for Memphis. A little afraid. So,
You know what I didn't realize though is that Minnesota was the highest scoring team in the NBA this season.
mhm,
So when you're sitting there and you're coming against a defense like Memphis is, like that's what Memphis is kind of built on is their defense.
yeah,
Jared Jackson's out there playing well, etc. So for me, I'm like, if you can go on the road into a defensive building against a defensive team, score 130 points, and live up to what you've done all season, I'm interested to see what happens in game two because I'm like,
yes,
hey, this could turn around and I mean, don't let me use the word sweep, but I mean,
oh,
if you haven't played in Minnesota yet, and the way that arena was rocking, when they played the Clippers, oh my gosh,
yeah,
it's going to be hard for teams to go in there and win.
yeah. There should be a response in game two, but is Memphis poised enough to respond the way that they need to respond? So, for
Right.
example, in that same text conversation with Bryce, I told him, I said, one, Memphis has lost the home court. One, so that's concerning. Two, in game one, when you're the higher seed, when you have a big gap like 1-8, 2-7, you have to come put your neck on the throat of the
Hmm.
opposing team just to let them know you don't have a shot in hell in winning the series. And Memphis failed to do that at every stage of the game yesterday.
Absolutely.
And they
Absolutely.
didn't play bad. Like they really didn't play bad. They just didn't play as good as Minnesota. So that's the concerning part. Like, it's not like Memphis was shooting bricks all night. They scored over 100
Hell,
points too.
Ja had 32.
Right. Like, hey, none of it looked good. None of it looked good. All right.
Yep.
So we also had, where did my stuff go? All right. So we also had yesterday the Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors, which I thought was going to be a closer game. But Philly pretty much ran away with that game. How do you feel about Toronto's chances right now against Philly?
I wasn't big on Serrano either way.
Okay.
Um, I mean, Philly. The only thing Philly has to do is figure out what they're gonna like how they're gonna work with James Harden. But Tyrese Maxey coming out with 38 points yesterday. What is this like? it's almost like I saw the 4 games yesterday. The 3 highest scoring players out of 3 out of the 4 games were players that, I mean, outside of Anthony Edwards, I mean, it could have been anybody. It could have been D'Angelo Russell, could have been Cat, right? But Anthony Edwards stepped up and had himself a game. But the other two, Tyrese Maxey and Jordan Poole, you could sit back and be like, where did you guys come from? I mean, Jordan Poole had a great year all year as his, in his role spot, but to come out with 30 points in his game as well, I mean, we had 3 30-point games that were very, very good from multiple people.
Right, right, right. No, Tyrese Maxey was absolutely on fire yesterday, and
Hmm.
I love this kid, and I actually love how Doc Rivers set him up because in the offseason, at at the exit interviews, forgive me, with all the Ben Simmons uncertainty, Doc Rivers went to Maxey and said, "We're going to need you to have a big year next season."
Hmm.
And for the majority of the season, he's answered the call. And the playoffs is where you make your name, and he did that.
Yep.
And it was
Yep.
fantastic. The crowd was jacked. Philly had balance throughout the night. Like, yeah, Maxi stood out with his points, but everyone else stepped up too, and it was just so much balance last night. Um, Toronto was definitely not prepared for that. Will he do it every night? No, he's not going to
Right.
do it every night. But no, let's give Maxi his flowers because he earned them. Um,
You know, real quick, I don't mean to cut you off. It's something I thought about with the Raptors here, real quick. That it kind of gives me the insight that they're not going to go too far. Is that there's even talk already about what Nick Nurse is going to be doing in the offseason.
mhm, mhm.
You know what I mean? So for me, the narrative for Toronto is really that they're already kind of, to me, expecting not to go too far.
You
When you're
think he's
talking
going to
about
take
your
it?
coach leaving already, I don't know. It's all speculation and rumors right now. When it comes to these Laker rumors, etc. But just the fact that it's being thrown out there and thrown around already, that's kind of demoralizing to a team sometimes when you're knowing, like, as players, we're playing for a guy who may not even be here tomorrow because it's already in the news. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not a fan with how that situation is being handled.
Ironically, the two names that we've heard are Nick Nurse and Doc Rivers connected to that job.
Yeah, exactly.
Ironically, just
Yeah.
throwing that out there. There was another game that concerned me yesterday. Um, Utah at Dallas. Now, Utah came back and won that game, but they were struggling against a Dallas team without Luka Doncic for the entirety of the game, and it was very,
Hmm.
very, very concerning. Now, generally speaking, the 4-5 matchup is where you have upsets. Now, Dallas did have home court, but Utah took game one. How impactful do you think this series can be without Luka? Because I believe he's going to miss game two as well.
Yeah, I believe it as well. I mean, right now we should be expecting the Jazz to win,
Mm,
especially when Luka's out for one, multiple games, etc. That's the heart and soul of Dallas. So when you take that away, we saw what happened with the Clippers when they took Paul George away,
basketball
right?
gods, man. Basketball gods.
Right, exactly. So we should expect the Jazz to win, but was I surprised that Dallas stayed with them and actually gave them a run for their money? No, in fact, it was a tweet from Cortez. I was actually out yesterday morning,
Uh
and
huh.
I'm looking at this, and it was a tweet from Cortez, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Dallas is about to win this game," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, no way!" But you
Right.
know what? It's the Jazz. The Jazz have had disappointing exits over the past couple seasons, so. I mean, that one's a toss up for me either way. I mean, if Dallas wins, it's not going to be a big surprise, but my expectation is that Utah should win.
Hmm.
But it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I think every game is going to be close, even with those stars. Because I mean, what we've got the situation going on with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert that's been in the news. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, like, you've got things that are hitting the team from an emotional side. So I don't know. The storyline between the games, it could be an interesting one, but it's a toss up for me on that one either way.
Donovan Mitchell is going to be in Miami in 2 years. That's why Dwayne Wade's up there as a sleeper agent in his ear every day. I'm
Hey,
just. So you know that.
He's that sniper. He's planting that seed.
Look, Jimmy's gonna walk away. Donovan's gonna walk in. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. Just watch now. Just watch.
I
All
wouldn't be
right.
surprised.
The final game of the night we saw, which I thought this was going to be a closer game, but I went to sleep on it. Golden State in Denver. Um, I actually kind of picked this to be an upset. I thought Denver would be able to pull this out. I didn't imagine Jordan Poole going for 30 points in the first game. Even though I love Jordan Poole,
Ugh.
I
I'm
absolutely
not
love
sure
him.
many people expected that.
Yes, yes, I love that kid. But I thought Denver would give Golden State more problems, but Golden State showed us who they still are.
Hmm.
Jokic has absolutely no help. Absolutely no help. And he's going to need those other guys to step up in this series. And
Hmm.
to all my Orlando Magic fans out there, Aaron Gordon has always been trash. He will remain to be trash. And he's stealing money not only from the Magic and Denver, he's stealing money from the entirety of the NBA at this point. Just saying. Just saying.
I'm not gonna disagree with you on that. You see, out here in Arizona, I'm an Arizona State fan, and he's
Ah,
a U of A alum anyway.
that's
So
right.
you know what? It's not hard for me to sway towards your way just in that realm anyway. So I'll back you up on those ones, and I'll support that idea there for you.
It, it's amazing, but someone else on that team has to step up
Yeah.
in order for Denver to have a chance in this series. Because even Steph at, let's say, 70%, if you have Jordan Poole giving you 15 to 20, which he averaged about 16 this year, but if he's going to do that consistently, Golden State's going to be a tough out. Um,
Hmm.
so no major surprises outside of Minnesota over Memphis. Um, let's do some predictions. Let's go back to Golden State and Denver. Who you got and how many games?
I mean, I'm going Golden State. I mean, even with a great game that Jokic had, I mean, he had 25, 10, and 6 yesterday.
Yeah.
So he was almost at his triple double numbers, and I mean, Golden State won in convincing fashion.
Right.
So
Right.
I'll give them 2 games. I'll give Denver 2 games and say it's going to go 4-2.
Okay.
So go into 6, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it ended 5.
Oh shit. I,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 5 games with that one in favor of
Mhm.
Golden State. All right. So then we got Philly and Toronto. Who you got?
I've got Philly 5.
5. Okay. Philly in 5.
Yep.
I have Philly in 6. Then we got Minnesota and Memphis.
So I'm actually going. I'm just because of this momentum, just because of this momentum and I hope they live up to this. I'm actually going to call a sweep on this.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Upset special.
yeah.
Minnesota over Memphis.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna call a sweep. I'm gonna call Minnesota, and I'm gonna call 6 games. So Minnesota in 6. Then we have Utah and Dallas. Who you got?
I've got Utah, and I got Utah in 6.
Utah in 6. Okay.
Yeah.
This one hurts me, but for my selfish reasons, in 2 years, I need Dallas to win the series.
Yeah. You
for
need
my
more reasons to push
right,
Donovan Mitchell out.
for my selfish reasons, I'm going with Dallas. So we have 4 more games today, starting at
Hmm.
1 p.m. Eastern time. God knows what time it is for you. The
10 a.m.
three-time, the three-time NBA champion and current Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat, like
Hmm.
that intro, are hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Who you got for Game 1 today?
All right, so game 1. Now, don't get mad at me yet. I'm actually going to go with Atlanta in this game.
Go with who? Atlanta?
I'm going with Atlanta in this game. Um, but the only reason is because of the rest. You know what I mean? When
Yeah,
Atlanta's playing on a high note, and let me
yeah.
tell you, Cleveland gave them a run for their money the other night.
Cleveland showed out that
So I
game.
mean, I agree. The way that they came out, Jared Allen was out there hype with his broken finger, played very well.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh my gosh, Cleveland's got a lot of heart going on in this game. Darius Garland showed out,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And Atlanta, Ice Trey still pulled it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't help but say that they're still, with them having to play 2 games, they've been on the court a lot more than Miami has in the past week. So I think that at least for this game, I'm going to give it to Atlanta, but I still give the Heat the series. That's why I said don't
So,
get mad at me yet because
oh no.
there's a series winning it for Miami, but I can't help but feel that Atlanta may take game 1.
So Atlanta lost Clint Capella, but they're going to pick up John Collins. He's going to try to come back. He's a Florida boy, by the way. Um, so we'll see how they do because Clint Capella usually scares me just because of his defense and rebounding and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. John Collins he's okay, but Bam would have a better time dealing with Collins than he would dealing with Capella. So um,
Right.
I do, and I want to go back to that Cleveland game because my heart was breaking because I'm like, if this was a veteran team, there's no way Atlanta would have won this game. Cleveland just didn't know how to close it out. Like I said, my heart was breaking for JB Bickerstaff and that team because I'm just like, all y'all had to do was close the deal. You did everything else right, everything else right.
Yeah.
Um, I think Miami wins game 1. I think the Hawks come out hot. Um, Probably around halftime, they may have a 10-point lead, and I think Miami's going to grind them down. And here's why: the open shots that Trey Young got in the second half of that Cleveland game, he will not get those looks against Miami. It's just not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen. So the momentum that the Hawks have will carry them into probably the third quarter, and then the Heat's going to wake the fuck up. Look, they've been in the Bahamas all week. They've been chilling. They're going to wake up in the third quarter, and they're going to be like, nah, this ain't how it's going to go. I think Miami's going to take game 1. I'll do the series prediction just a little later, but I think Miami's taking game 1. But it might be a tough game though. It might be a tough game. The next game we have, which is one I'm really paying attention to. I got to drink my Red Bull
Yep.
so I can stay up. Is Boston hosting the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a bloodbath.
I do too. I do too. But you know what? I'm here for all the smoke.
All
Let's
the
go.
smoke.
I want to see. I think this is. I think this is the matchup that is the most appealing,
Yes.
and it's supposed to be the most exciting. And because I mean, look, we got Ramadan Kyrie, right? We got Ramadan Kyrie. And
Yeah.
I think the only Kyrie that's ever been better than Ramadan Kyrie is 2016 NBA Finals Kyrie.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
So, but I mean, him back in Boston, the narratives. I mean, even this whole there's been a thing going on. I saw some attention to the Doris Burke voting for Marcus Smart Defensive Player of the Year. So you kind of got that narrative going on because
Oh wow.
he's got to bring his defense to the court. You know what I mean? The number one defensive team
Hmm.
and the number one defensive player, which is why she said this is why I voted for Marcus Smart. He's the best defensive player on the number one defensive team. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this gets approached with all the different narratives going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It is going to be a fantastic game. Fantastic series. I actually have Brooklyn winning this game. Who do you have?
Me too.
Okay.
I have Brooklyn winning this game.
All
They're
right.
they're on the same that 2 games they had to play 2 different games. Kyrie had 2 really good games. So, they've been on the court more than Boston has. So
Right.
you've got the activity going on, the juice is flowing, etc. So I can't help but say that Brooklyn's gonna take this
Yep. Next up, I'm definitely going to be sleeping during this game. We're going to have
one.
Chicago
Yeah,
at Milwaukee. It's probably going to be a boring game, but it's okay.
I agree. I agree.
I, I love DeMar DeRozan. He was my first half MVP of the season. God knows I love Zach LaVine. Still no Lonzo Ball. Giannis is Giannis, even though he spurned my advances to come to Miami. I got Milwaukee winning this game.
Me too.
Okay,
I
that was an
mean,
easy one.
what what is it? Chicago is horrible against the top three teams in the East anyway. Whenever they, whoever's at the top three, whenever they're playing those teams,
Yeah, yeah,
they have a very very bad record. So
yeah,
I'm like, you know what, Milwaukee, and it's in Milwaukee.
yeah. So
Yeah,
Milwaukee, yep, I
this
know.
is going to be after two good games. You're probably going to need the rest before the next one. So
Mhm.
that's going to be your resting time.
The final game we have today, I may wake up during this game. The Pelicans and the Suns. Now, the Pelicans win was impressive against the Clippers the other night. Even though we know they didn't have Paul George, but it was still an impressive win for the Pelicans to get into the playoffs. Um, I feel like I feel like the Suns are going to steamroll the Pelicans in Game One, but I'm happy that the Pelicans are there. To me, the Pelicans are even a better story than Minnesota getting there. I thought the Pelicans should have been the team celebrating and not Minnesota, because Minnesota, technically speaking, could have been a playoff team had they played well for the majority of the year. No one gave New Orleans a chance to do absolutely anything. Um,
Agreed.
so, how do you feel about the Pelicans being at this point number one, and then number two, who takes game one?
So I'm gonna give game one to Phoenix, just because their consistency has been there all season.
Hmm.
They haven't been on the court for a while as well, but they're at home. I mean, it is against the Pelicans, a team that nobody expected to be here anyway.
Right.
So I mean, it's like, what do they have to lose? You know, they're one of those teams. Even at the eighth seed, they're like, what? Why not us? So they go out there and they leave it out on the court. So I think it's going to be a very good game. But I do give Phoenix game one. But I mean, shout out to New Orleans. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen them in a bad position with the Zion Williamson situation, and there's a lot that's brewing up in regards to that now too, because he is apparently publicly come out and said that he disagrees with their diagnosis of his injury. So they both have different ideas of how his injury should be handled. That's never really a good sign when you see, you know, a team and a player, especially the star player, on the outs. So there's a lot of drama that's been set around New Orleans. So to see them come out and play the way that they have and make the eight seed, take down not only what is it, the Spurs, and then take down the Clippers. Like I think that was pretty awesome. I think that's they're riding a momentum ride anyway, just kind of like
Yeah.
Minnesota and the other ones we're talking about, Atlanta.
Yeah. Atlanta was and me and Bryce talked about this during the week. Atlanta was actually disappointing. So they overachieved last year, and then this year
Hmm.
they underachieved. So we still don't know where they're going to land. They've had
Right,
off court issues, like locker room issues, for 2 years now. Um, so we just don't know who the Hawks are just yet. But
right.
I don't even know what changes they could make going into the offseason outside of a coach. But I absolutely love Nate McMillan because he did kind of right that ship last year. This year, that rough start they got off to, no one saw that coming. So it's still something there. Um, but hopefully they can get it together. So we're gonna call the series for this next set of teams. Phoenix, I'm pretty sure is gonna sweep the Pelicans. I'm just pretty sure of
Yeah,
it.
me too.
Yeah, so that's not even gonna be a tough one. Milwaukee and Chicago. Who you got and how many games?
Milwaukee, Chicago. I'll give Chicago one game. I'll give them one and say it's going to be five. It's going to be. It should be. That one should also be a sweep, if you
It
ask
should be a
me.
sweep. Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
know, but I'll give Chicago one.
if they get a game, it'll be game three. But I'm going with a sweep in that series. All right, here's the tough one: Boston and Brooklyn. Here it is.
I'll say Brooklyn in six.
Oh God,
Hmm.
you're gonna do that?
Yep.
It shouldn't be an upset special, but it is gonna be an upset special. I got Boston in seven.
Oh, nice, nice. That's going to
Yeah,
be an interesting outcome. I mean, either way, look, we're sitting here and we can agree easily on the Bucks winning, the Suns winning, then we're like Nets, Celtics, and then boom. It Forget the number of games. We're just at odds on it, you know. So it's like that
right.
that that literally tells me that, you know, majority of people that would hop on either a podcast or a conversation, they're probably going to be split in this one anyway, which is why
Yeah.
that series is going to be so good.
Look, my son came up to me and he said, Brooklyn's going to beat Boston. You can't deal with Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I said, well, hell, Brooklyn can't deal with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. What are you talking about?
It's gonna rest on that pair and how well they keep
Yeah.
up with Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
And I think Bruce Brown is good for Brooklyn. He's good. But Marcus Smart is better. And I think
Mm.
Marcus Smart is actually going to be the catalyst to the Celtics winning. Um, my favorite, you don't have to hurt my feelings. It's okay. I've already spoken to the basketball gods. They've told me a little bit, so I already know what's going to happen. Miami and Atlanta. Who you got?
I got Miami in 5.
Out of respect for Atlanta and out of respect for Trey Young, I give them game three. I got the Heat in 5. You're giving them game one. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Keep that in mind. But I'm giving them game three. I will say this: in this series, Atlanta doesn't have home court because there is a huge contingent of Miami Heat fans in Atlanta, and they're going to be
mm.
loud and they're going to be proud, and it's going to be tough for the Hawks. It's really going to be tough for the Hawks. So
Hey,
yeah, so my
hashtag Heat culture, baby.
look, Orlando, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington, and believe it or not, Brooklyn are melting pots for Heat fans. Believe it or not, like the Brooklyn one blows my mind because when I was a
That
kid,
definitely does.
here's the funny part: when I was a kid watching Heat games, when we played against the Knicks back during that rivalry, half of the
Mm.
arena would be Knicks fans, and I'm just like, what the hell? And now when we go to Brooklyn, half of the arena are Heat fans. I'm just, it, fuck New York, man. Fuck New York. I can't
At
deal
least you
with
know
this.
if you go in, at least you know if you go into Brooklyn, it's going to be a nice, even 50-50 crowd, so to say.
Look, let me tell you, we're gonna wrap it up, but I gotta tell you this. Nick and Kenny, who used to write for the Hardwood Nation, we still text every day. And when Trey Young and the Hawks were going on that run against Cleveland to win the game, they were just shredding Trey Young. They're still traumatized by last year.
I would be too. I mean, unexpectedly. So it's funny you talk about how they overachieved last year. Eastern
Yeah,
Conference Finals. Oh my gosh! Like,
right,
where
right.
was this? That was almost like what was it? St. Peter's this year in the NCAA tournament. You know what I mean? Like there was kind of a
Right.
preview to that. I throw it in that bucket, but yes, I agree overachieving. But I mean, any team that goes to the Eastern Finals unexpectedly like that, yeah, you have to feel burned. You have to feel burned.
I'm going to give you something to think about because based on our predictions, you're looking at a collision of maybe Brooklyn and or Boston against Milwaukee in the second round. So that's just
Mm.
we got some fireworks on
Hey,
the way.
and you know what? Why not a rematch of Brooklyn, right? Because it was what Kevin Durant's toenail
Right,
that missed the rest of the that caused them to lose the series.
right, right,
Um,
right.
the matchup that I would be looking for at some point within the playoffs, I was thinking about this. Like, what would probably be the most interesting playoff matchup overall is if the Suns and the Timberwolves meet each other.
Hmm.
I want to see that. I actually want to see that matchup. Because you've got a consistency with Phoenix, the way that they've played all season, and you've
Hmm.
got the high scoring team with Minnesota. I just think that Minnesota, for some reason, just got this all that same why not mentality. You know what I mean? Like, why not us? Let's go out there and leave it out on the court. That heart that they've had has been crazy. So I want to see that matchup more than anything
It would
outside
have to
of, let's
be.
say, the Nets Celtics.
It would have to be the conference finals. Just by
Mm-hmm.
the seed. So that's a tough get for Minnesota to ride it all the way to the conference finals. Minnesota is a bad matchup for Phoenix. They really
Mm-hmm.
are. Um, I mean, hell, they're a bad matchup for Memphis. To be honest with you, this 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 series for Cat, we know what Anthony Edwards is going to give you. We know that this series for Cat is going to make or break his career going forward. He's never had a big playoff moment. If he plays well in this run, This is going to set him up to be, in some people's mind, at this point in time, this may put him ahead of Anthony Davis, who can't stay on the court right now. If he can have a
Agreed.
strong play, if he can have a strong playoff run, this might put him ahead of that Davis. So I hope he can pull it together. Watching Ja Morant's dad and Cat's dad yesterday clowning around, that was great, by the way.
Yeah, that's some of the
If you,
highlights of that.
yeah, that was fantastic. But yeah, I'm rooting for Cat. Um, I don't know how far they can go. I'm definitely picking them to beat Memphis now because it's just what I saw yesterday was so disturbing. I'm just like
Hmm.
it was just disturbing. It was just
I
bad.
agree. I agree. That's what got the motor running. Where I'm like, what would be for Phoenix? Because I mean, living out here in Phoenix to see if they what their road is like overall. If they have to meet Minnesota, I'm scared for Phoenix. I'm definitely
Yeah,
scared for Phoenix.
yeah. And I don't want no part of Phoenix in the finals. So
Yeah.
at all. That's too that would be too heart ringing for me. I can't. I have a heart attack. All right, Mike. Let people know where to find you at.
So you can find me on Instagram, Michael Fran 0726, and then also Twitter at McCartney 0726. Holla at me, give me a follow, tag me. I love the conversation. And you know what? I gotta say, I appreciate Bryce for, allowing me to be on here with you as well and kind of, stepping in for him a little bit. But this has been really fun for the past couple of weeks being with you here, too.
Yeah. It's great to have these conversations with two people that absolutely love basketball. And even
Mhm.
yesterday, Bryce sent me a picture of a Chicago Bulls locker that had his name on it when he was a kid because he grew up loving basketball. And I saw this picture, I'm like, holy shit! When you're like 8, 9, 10 years old and you love the game and you can still love it in your 30s.
Mhm.
Nothing can beat that. Nothing. I drive by when I'm driving around and I see some kids playing on a basketball hoop. I just smile to myself. I love this fucking game. And I know you do. I know Bryce does. I know Kevin and Cortez does. Did you see Cortez being able to? He was a part of the Orlando Magic introductions. Were you?
I saw that. I
You
saw
caught
that.
it?
I was like, hey, a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And I know
Right.
he was surprised too. He said, I can't believe that, after all these times that I've tried, I was
Yeah.
actually selected to get my audition tape. So kudos and shout out to Cortez for that. Man. Way to step up.
I saw I saw him post. He posted the video first on Facebook, and I saw that, and I went to the game that night. And for some reason, I wasn't expecting them to play it during the actual introductions of the game. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, "Holy shit, there he is!"
That's
So it was
pretty
great.
awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We actually let the Magic win that game because we didn't care. So we let the Magic have that game. We gotta let the little brothers win sometimes. So that's gonna be it for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast. Once again, we thank you, Michael, for jumping on. Search the Hardwood Nation on all the socials: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. Thank you, everyone, and be safe.